Cyrus, let me give you my list to see if I could be a mastering diabetes coach and tell me what I'm leaving off. Okay.
I love it.
So we want to avoid fats and oils, especially from animal products. We want to avoid processed food. We want to not eat late, maybe stop eating after dinner. We want to get enough exercise, and we don't want to eat too much in general. What else is a lever if someone is trying to get their situation, their fasting blood sugar and type 2 diabetes under control?
I mean, Steve, you're hired as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if anybody else here objects, but you got it. You hit it on the head. So we like to categorize things into three main pillars. Number one is adopting a plant-based diet, just like you suggested. Number two, sorry, let me back up here. A plant-based diet that has three characteristics associated with it. Number one, low in fat, like we had just talked about. Number two, plant-based. And then number three, whole food. Okay. There's a lot of people that migrate over to eating a plant-based diet and then they go to the freezer section and they get the burritos and the cheeses and the soy crackers. And that's okay. That's a step in the right direction towards minimizing your animal product intake. But really, what we're trying to teach people how to do is eat a low fat, plant based whole food diet. So if you can execute all three of those and eat as much whole food as possible while limiting your fat intake, that's the path to maximizing your insulin sensitivity, specifically when it just comes to your diet. So that's number one. Number two, movement. Just like Scott had said, just like you had referenced as well, which is moving your body on a daily basis. Our general recommendation is to move your body for a minimum of 30 minutes per day, somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes per day. And just like Carla had also mentioned too, you can perform exercise by going to a gym or getting on a treadmill or getting on a row machine and making it a dedicated block, because that's what we do in the 21st century. Or you could do what our ancestors have done and what people have been doing for thousands of years, which is just spontaneously move your body, right? Don't use your car, but get in, walk to the grocery store, get your groceries and hold them in bags and come back. Use the stairs, don't use the elevator, right? You can perform exercise, you can perform movement, if you will, for small periods of time. And if you do that multiple times throughout the day and scatter them as what we refer to as exercise snacks, then you can end up making significant improvements in your health. And it just seems it's a very small, simple thing to do, but it actually compounds and accumulates over the course of time, right? And then number three is intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting is something that I've studied. I wrote my PhD on the benefits of calorie restriction and intermittent fasting for improved glycemic control. And what that means is that, I've done a lot of research here to try and understand what is the power of calorie restriction and intermittent fasting. And what I've learned over the course of the last 20 years is that it is an incredibly powerful tool that can help do multiple things. Number one, lower your blood glucose. That's your fasting blood glucose and your post-meal blood glucose. Lower your A1C value. It can lower your LDL cholesterol. It can lower your body weight, and it can keep it there permanently. It can actually increase your energy levels, even though you're getting less energy. And then there's significant research that has shown that in many different species, including yeast, worms, flies, mice, rodents, monkeys, and potentially even humans, that calorie restriction is the only known mechanism for lifespan extension, which is very cool. So what we do is we try and teach people, eat a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet, move your body for at least 30 minutes per day, and then also intermittent fast when necessary or on a regular basis if possible. And the combination of the three of those things can get you three insulin sensitizing components to your lifestyle that are very powerful unto themselves. When you add all three of them together, not only does it reduce your blood glucose, but it can also have powerful metabolic effects on your cholesterol level and your blood pressure and your body weight simultaneously.
And would you add a week or 2 week water fast each year with Alan Goldhammer? Would that be something that would add a lot of value, or is that not part of your?
Yeah, so you're referencing basically the True North Health Center with Alan Goldhammer, very good friend. The answer is yes. If that doing a dedicated water fast, whether it's a 7-day or a 14-day or a 30-day water fast, is something that doesn't necessarily apply to every single person. If I did that as an example, I would lose so much weight that I would become significantly underweight. So I'm not the prime avatar for that type of therapy. However, what we do generally recommend is performing an extended water fast for people who are either overweight and trying to accelerate their rate of weight loss so that they can improve their overall metabolic profile, people who have the metabolic syndrome, people who are diagnosed with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, and then also for people who are living with high cholesterol or high blood pressure. Okay, so it's a case by case basis for sure, but in general, sure, performing an extended duration water fast, whether it's 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, or beyond, can have incredibly powerful effects at significantly improving your overall base metabolism. No question.
Thank you. Dr. Stoll, how do you pronounce your last name so I say it correctly?
Yeah, Stoll, you're fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're having a 17-day conference, and a lot of our speakers are very confident and very charismatic, and they have really fantastic credentials. And when they speak, we think we've just heard the final version of truth. And then the next speaker says something different, and it gets confusing. So Dr. McDougall has said that we're supposed to eat starches, beans, grains, potatoes, corn. Let's focus on the vegetables. Joel Fuhrman is saying that nuts are absolutely a significant part of health and that we should make sure to include them. And he has his diet that's very focused on vegetables. Brian Clement is saying it should be a raw food diet and we should exclude fruit because it feeds yeast mold, fungus, candida. Dr. Esselstyn is saying avoid oil at all cost. Dr. Goldhammer is saying no salt. Pam Popper is saying, yeah, no salt and no oil, but also all this stuff about supplements is not evidence-based, and she's not even sure if we need DHA, EPA, and even vitamin D, which everyone else says we do need. So there's a lot of people giving us different whole food plant-based messages, not to mention all the low-carb, keto, paleo authors who are saying don't even eat plant-based. So what would you say to us? How do we interpret this? What's your conclusion after hearing all these different people's approaches?
That is a great question. And, I like to step back from kind of the granular view and just take a look globally. We have a population globally that is continuing to get heavier and sicker. We have more and more chronic disease that is eroding individual health, family health, community health, financial health of hospitals, healthcare systems. We have a massive problem globally because of the westernized diet. There are nuances to many of these diets. There's science behind, the recommendations. Most of the people that you've talked about are good friends of mine. I think in scientific circles, it's wonderful to have these conversations, but there's a very practical aspect of this that I don't want to lose, and that is that most people are not eating any vegetables. The leading nutritional deficit nationally right now is fiber. Only 4% of any age group is getting the minimum requirement of fiber, which is 25 to 35 grams. All the science shows that we start to see disease prevention and reversal at 70 to 100 grams of fiber. And so, we could talk you could have an entire, 2 or 3 day panel on the nuances of, vegetables, non-vegetables, SOS-free, salt, oil, sugar-free diets. And there are benefits. And there's, especially when somebody is trying to reverse disease, focusing on some of those things is actually very important. But I think what's important for all of us as a group is to recognize the need around us, which is coming alongside people that are not eating any fruits, any vegetables, that are largely deficient in fiber, that are struggling with disease, that don't know how to cook food, that don't understand how to make plants delicious. Less than 10% of people are even meeting the 3 to 5 servings of fruits or vegetables every day. And so I really like to focus as a clinician on coming alongside the general population and helping them discover fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, whole grains, spices, herbs that can be incorporated into delicious, easy to cook meals that will begin transforming their health.